time. So this is the first time that anything like this has come into print. So we're all pretty excited about it. It was some good, definitely hard work by the editorial team, but I think we're happy with the final result. Of course, it's not exhaustive teachings. It's not everything, but it does lay out some of the core teachings, some of the core principles that Nadeau Sensei has taught over the course of his amazing career as a transformation meditation teacher and certainly as an Aikido sensei.
And the
So
idea for this,
having this in what was called a roku, which is kind of a record. It's a term that we use in Zen sometimes, and but a record that is brought forward about the teacher, and it's often stories, but we expanded it. The team, the editorial team, expanded this then to include a really great biography sensei, and also to take the opportunity to at sensei's request and our delight was to look at these core teachings and these fundamental teachings, stuff that if you've been a student of Robert Nadeau over time, you've heard him say many times, the 1 by 2 by 3 by, easy the eye, all of these, in his own way of speaking about the transformation, the Bobby Robert Nadeau piece as well. So in that way, we're excited about the book, and we'll let you know more about it. There might even be, an in-person book signing at some point that Sensei will attend.
yeah, Autumn just
Bob,
said
are you close, or are we still on Phil? Bob, are you close, or are
Autumn
we
just
still?
had a chat on the chat thing link. You can
He's
order
ready.
the book if you want to.
He's ready.
Right.
Okay.
Wonderful. Oh yeah, thanks, Autumn. Thanks.
Yeah.
Sensei, good evening.
Hello. Why don't you name the people who are on the committee?
Very
We'll do more in the future, but once you because you talked about this, why not say who
well.
put this thing together?
The one and only Bob Noah, of course, and Richard Moon, Susan Spence, Elaine Yoder, and Lauren Hare, of course. I myself made a team of 6, and we worked quite well together, I thought. Don't you think, Noah, that and Moon, who are on tonight, that I would think we worked really good as a team, putting together the teachings, the compilation of the stories, the chronology, the biography, which you did quite a bit of, Noah, yourself. So thanks. How's that, Sensei? I think I got everyone there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, I believe we touched to some degree on this subject last time we were together. But let's start. Okay. What this diagram is, wish I could draw in different dimensions. Okay, the black is our basic world, okay, that we're in. And there's some developmental work that has to be done in this world. That's the Bobby Robert Nadeau, get more room, 1 by 2 by 3 by, stop majoring just in this half, aware that you have a body. We should try to get more body presence, more experiential from underbeat there. Okay, but that's basic. So we need a bit of course, some of you have had years of this, a basic positioning, the basic sense of things, the basic experience of things, okay? Now, in this same, I have to make up some words here. in the same universe, but not on the same level. Underlying it, could I say, is a sensing. If we're going to call this a world, let's call it a sensing world. Okay, there's another world that lines up to and is related to, and they really butt up close, the normal physical world that you can see and touch and whatever. Okay. And in the black world, the normal world, that we get different words from the world of sensing. Green, is that green? Yeah. We get sometimes a flash through or a flow through or a bleed through, and whatever other words you make up. Okay. For example, and I'll ask for examples from you all when this has happened to you, where you know something you shouldn't have known. Okay, but it was kind of clear to you. We'll start with that. That I'm saying we're getting a flow through, a bleed through, whatever word you want to use. That coming from that sensing world. Okay, again, it's so close that that's trying to show that it's there. Where the hell should we go? I'm going to shift it over to you people. Somebody who knows what I'm talking about, could you start this simple with a flow through or bleed through, whatever? Example?
Bob, may I?
Who that?
Richard.
Richard.
Yeah, the one I think is classic, and I think maybe some people know about it. And there's an article, and there's whatever on it. It was in Strozzi's book as well. But my brother was hit by a car. He was in a coma for a month, and people were going, "Aren't you going back?" And I thought, I don't have any idea why I would. He's in a coma. All of a sudden, one night, I get this message, "Go." And I've got like $180 to my name, and that's how much it costs for a one-way ticket. I don't have any clothes. I'm in shorts and stuff. And I and go wake my brother up from this coma. If you want to know more, you can touch in with me. I'll hook you up, or it's in Strozzi's book. But anyhow, it just out of nowhere, all of a sudden I go there and I wake him up from a coma with an Aikido technique, and kind of blew everybody's mind. And but it was just the message that came out of nowhere.
How long had he been in a coma at that time?
A month.
A month.
Yeah.
With the doctor saying, we don't know, he could be there for years, right?
Yeah, it was absolutely nothing. And I mean, it's kind of funny, but I come in and I just my mom says, well, forget it. I said, I'm going home. I said, no, I'm coming. It was just whatever it was so strong. And I just went in, I walked in, I put like kind of a Nikyo type thing on him until he responded. It went in. The nurse went crazy. She goes out. All of a sudden, the doctors come in. It was kind of an event, but it was, to me, it was just, a month had gone by, nothing. Yeah. I'm sitting there, no urge to go whatsoever.
A message from or a push by that.
I can't tell you it's kinesthetic. It's for me. I don't get visions. I don't hear voices. It was a feeling. I had to go, and it kind of takes on words, but it was one of the strong ones. Anyhow, one of my favorites. I've got a lot of them actually, but that
it doesn't have to be what you said, though. Hearing it or seeing it. Somebody's walking down the street and they decide to take this street instead of that street, but they always take that street. But today they had, whatever word you used, just a feeling to take this street, and on that street the building fell over, killed everybody on the street. So whatever that feeling was, you don't have to hear words or whatever. It's kind of let's be free here for a while with how it talks, how it shows. Let's not limit it to, you got to hear it. Well, some people are going to pick it up by hearing it. Some people are going to, in their sensing, get a visual on it. But let's keep it wide open. We're too new at this to box it in. Okay? You all right with me on that, Richard?
Good. Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. There's a part. Do we have any simple examples of a flash through? This is where people say to you, how did you know to do that? Or why did you say that? There's no reason to say it that way, but that's the way you said it. And even caught you by surprise when you said it that way. Um, uh, and if you're basically intelligent, you realize it sort of came out of nowhere. And you don't have any explanation. Now, some of the heavy duty mind awareness types, I'm a smart guy. Oh, yes, I was just being smart. When that's not what happened. It was a flow through kind of thing. So don't want to confuse the issue here. But let's be very open to the varieties of possibilities of what can, well, first show through from that world. Then we have to get into how to be more present in that world. That's where we're heading. And that step is part of our journey from the heavier to the finer to the more original. That's part of our journey. So the better we get this whole unit, both worlds, and we get sort of comfy there, then this next big step, which we'll get into eventually, I hope, should be easier. Okay. Somebody, a little quickie about a flow through? And Noah, let's jump on you. I'm not sure who should come first there. Insurance business. They send them to buildings to check if the insurance company should insure these people. So he's got to scan their safety factors and all of that. You want to throw out sorry?
Yes, I went to an assisted living place that a company we were already insuring had recently bought. It was in the local Bay Area here. And almost before I went through the front door, I knew this place was not good. And then I was able to get
Wait a minute, we have to use the right words. You had a sense that this is not a good building or something.
That's
strong sense. Okay.
I was tempted to just walk out, turn around, but I couldn't do that because I had to collect the information to support why that sense was correct. Anyway, it was bad enough. When I got in my car, I called the company on the car phone. I didn't even wait to write my report. And I said, we can't insure this. I said, if there's a fire here, there's going to be multiple fatalities. So the company refused to insure it. And about a year and a half later, they had a fire. 6 people died. The owners were charged by the local DA with negligent homicide. And I saw a news conference with the local fire marshal. They said, yeah, we knew about this, but we couldn't do anything about it, which was
he was
just covering his butt there.
What's the phrase? Saving your ass or covering your ass? Covering your ass. Yeah.
But it was just an instantaneous sensing that then I was able to collect the information that told me I was correct. But the sensing came first.
Yeah. So what we're realizing with Noah is in that business. See, we each have at least one potential major lineage that facilitates us tapping into the sensing world on the lineage we're on. And again, let's keep that open. Don't lock yourself into one thing, because I unfortunately said one. But his apparently, because there's a few other stories he has about knowing about the buildings, whether they should be insured or not. So he was sort of a natural. I think even one of his bosses caught that and said, shit, you know about these buildings in the first 5 minutes, don't you?
Yeah, one of our company executives said that. Yeah.
They started to catch how good you were. And that's why he rose to the big level in the insurance company that he got to before he retired, right?
Correct.
Are you people following my drift here? I'm trying to show a flow-through factor. Okay. Steve, you got a nice simple one for us?
I'll give you a simple one. You know, for many years, I wanted to be a rock and roll star and get on the stage, and I did it quite a bit. But I always was very self-conscious about my voice, and so I always got in my own way. And I just recall it was just profound in its simplicity. I was playing at my house with a guitarist, a very good guitarist, and I started singing. And I have it on tape somewhere. I should really go back and find it. And I did get out without realizing it. I just got out of myself and started singing from a place I didn't know where it came from. But it was like,
Good. I like that. When you're in the black world, and something comes in from the green world, you don't know where it came from because we haven't been taught or versed in, the world of sensing, we're calling it right now. Oh, a flow through. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, cut you off.
yeah. So I was stunned, but I was totally into it. And the thought that I had was, oh, so this is how these great singers do it. I had no clue, but I was in that zone.
Yeah. Okay. So again, I think many of you, if not all of you, have had some flash throughs, flow throughs. Okay. Now, maybe because you didn't know quite what happened, you made up stories, which just confuses the issue. But if you just play my game, that knowing things you shouldn't have known, having that capability for a moment, or some moments, in your case, singing, that you're astounded. Where did that come from? That's a clue. Where did that come from? It's not your normal, I'm going to try to do it better thing. It was just zoom, a flow through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. You people got the drift of what I'm playing with. I'm talking about the flow through from the sensing world, calling it, that manifests in the physical because they're so butted up. Okay. Apparently it's there going bing, bing, bing more often than we know. Help me here.
I'll give you one more if I may. When I first met you, you were teaching at the church, and I can't remember who was there or anything, but you all of a sudden had an uke, one of the young guys, strong guys, and you go, I don't remember what we were doing. You go, I can sense a hole in the energy right here. Whatever, you put your finger there and he fell down. Or whatever, whatever. It was one of those complete energy techniques. And that was kind of the place where it transitioned to me that we were studying something else here. And now I'm not unfamiliar with that from yoga, but I'd never seen it in the martial arts world.
Yeah. To get the impetus to trust it and to touch him there and have that happen is not something I could figure out. I'm good, but I'm not that good kind of thing in the dark world. This is something that, you feel like saying it, you feel like doing it, and there's a result. Like, where the hell did that come from? And you can't do it again. That's another clue. Anyway, you're getting the drift of what we're trying to lay out here? Flow through from that, what I'm calling the sensing world, that manifests to different people at different times in different situations in different degrees. So you've got these, sometimes maybe a quick mental flash through. Don't go there. Okay, I won't. Because something bigger. Okay, let me throw one of mine out. I'm with a very good swordsman, just me and him and a couple of bokens. And he asked me to stand in a stance. Okay. And I think he's going to come in to show me where my openings are, kind of thing. And I'm just standing there, as best as I can, in a nice position, whatever. And suddenly he starts to experience consternation. And I realize he can't see an opening. He can't come in. Now, this is a really good swordsman, and I'm nobody here. And he can't come in. At which time he came in. Because wherever I was standing for that flow through to be there, suddenly wasn't there. Because what the hell's going on? He over there can't come in. Bing, he came in, of course. That's my fast story. I have a couple of others, but that was pretty cool. Susan. Should we shift to you? Sensing. Let's go to the earlier years and not into your medical proficiency using this pattern. We'll get to that hopefully soon. You mentioned something to me on the phone about an Aikido experience. It was in New Zealand. Can you hear me? Are you on?
Yes, I'm on, Sensei.
Was there something in that story that could fit in here?
Um, well, when you asked about, I guess, flash through experiences, one that came to mind was ukeing for you. Well, there were numerous uke
Susan,
experiences.
hang on.
Yes.
Let me check with people. Let's see if your voice is coming across proper. It's breaking a little bit here. Anything you can do there? She lives out in the boonies someplace.
Well, I'm actually on the road.
Okay. She's on the road, yes. Try that. That sounded pretty good.
Okay.
Okay.
So, yeah, describing that experience of ukeing in New Zealand, and
Susan, if I may, just try speaking just slightly slower. Let the, yeah.
No, yeah. Thank you.
lower volume.
No, just slightly slower to let the digital analog transmission.
Slower. Okay. So the experience I had with you in New Zealand was such an intense hit that when I went down, I didn't have any desire to get back up. And I'm sure other ukes have had this kind of experience with you. And you checked on me to ask why I wasn't getting up. And the image that I had was of being hit by, a 500-pound anchor.
So
And
it
go ahead.
wasn't, you didn't notice me being more physical. I'm going to get this
No.
bitch. Wasn't that
No.
kind of power, but there was something boom there. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Good. Go ahead.
And it was just something so out of the norm from a normal hit. It wasn't painful at all. It was just so encompassing and overwhelmingly powerful.
Yeah. Something bigger than me was there, and that's what you got hit with. Yeah.
Yes. Much bigger than you. Yes.
Yeah. And you hit the deck, and come on, Susan, you told me more of this story on the phone.
Well, there was just no sense of getting up from that. There was no even desire really to get up at the moment.
Could you tell us about the mattress? Dear God, I gotta pull things out of you people. You laid out beautifully on the phone, and then you suddenly come here and
different experiences of being thrown by you where it's not landing on a mat, it's landing on a mattress that's a floor below the ground level. So it's way, way below normal ground level. It's soft. It's it's just not normal. It's different from the norm.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. And this again is nothing I can control. I'm going to throw them and they're going to land on a mattress. I can't control that. I don't know anything about that. But apparently when I stand, and sometimes, when I stand properly, that there's a little more whoosh through. And that big hit was that because she's my uke. I care for her. I'm not going to try to damage her, especially at a demo class in New Zealand. But something big hit her, that she described pretty well. And this mattress thing is something I've heard, especially the females say to me often. It looks from the outside like I threw them hard, and it may have. But they hit this mattress, and they come up smiling or laughing. Some guys sitting on the outside who don't know me say, "You're kind of harsh on that lady, weren't you?" because they don't know there's a mattress there. If they would just watch the uke coming up smiling, like, ooh, that was nice. The mattress was nice. Kind of thing. So we don't know everything how this works. We're just trying to come up with more examples, and I'll study it more and more. We'll get a better, create some better words so we can know when we're talking from the sensing world or describing it from that world. And what entails standing more fully in that world. Okay, so that's where we really have to go. But I thought it'd be fun to hear your stories and for other people to hear your stories of a flow through, a bleed through, whatever. Help me here, dear God, people.
Since I got another one, if you want one from me,
Hey, go ahead.
I'm in a movie theater with my wife. The movie is over and they're playing the credits. So we get up and we're getting ready to walk out. And this older guy who was sitting in front of us also got up and he's looking at the credits. And this guy who was sitting behind us told the guy to move because he couldn't see. And the guy didn't move. And he told him a couple of more times the guy didn't move. And I could tell he was really getting mad and he was going to hit this guy. And all of a sudden I was standing in a different place and the guy had to look around me and then he saw that the guy had a hearing aid and that he couldn't hear him. And so that diffused the situation. But I didn't even know I moved.
Yeah.
My wife said, "How did you do that?"
Yes. And you said,
No idea.
no idea.
All of a
Now,
sudden,
you
I
can
was
try
just-
to own it in this first world, which we have a tendency of doing, and say, well, I'm just really cool. I've been doing martial arts, honey. I'm cool. But yeah, you didn't know.
No,
Yeah.
no.
And that's our clue. When other people say, how did you do that? Why did you do that? How did you know that? That's a good clue. That's a damn good clue. Yeah. Susan? Stop the stupid car, Susan.
Yes, I'm here. I will stop the car in a couple minutes.
It'll be
I
too
was-
late.
Yeah,
How many times?
I wanted to give some examples of earlier in my work where I started to trust that the questions I asked people or the insights that I had that led to, other questions for patients.
Okay.
I-
So we're in your field of dealing with patients. Okay. She's talking about her earlier years that she's developing this. Are we okay so far there?
Yeah, and people
And
would, other
go.
therapists would ask, how did you know to ask them that question? And I did the same thing Noah said. I don't know.
Yeah.
That question
Yeah.
just showed.
Yeah.
And it would often turn out to be a really critical question in understanding the patient or understanding their history.
Yeah.
Early on, I was interviewing for a position with one of the biggest, at the time, orthopedic clinics in Marin County. And I really didn't have the experience that they were looking for. And part of the interview was evaluating one of the senior PTs. So I was a little nervous, but I spent a few minutes feeling his system. And then he asked what I found, and I went through what I felt. And he was surprised because I didn't do the normal PT evaluation, but I picked up a lot about his system.
And he was impressed by your, we call it insights, maybe?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was one of those moments where I really learned to trust
Yes.
that information
Yeah.
that was coming through from the sensing world.
Yeah. Remember, the doubter is in this first world of basics. And there, the doubter is really can be strong. Okay. And that one will block everything out. If you're a Bobby doubter, nothing more can happen. He doubts everything, Hey, Bobby, do you know there's a Robert available? I doubt it. I'm Bobby. They can doubt you to death. Yeah. So trust. That damn word keeps coming up through the years here. Keisha loves it. Trust.
I got one. Oh,
Who dat?
that's Amy from Florida.
Hey, Amy from Florida.
Besides things like when I wrote my book, taking a reading later, I saw that I used words that I didn't know that I knew, you know. But the one that really comes to me is my father had died, and it was, a while later, and I come home from work in the morning, and I sense a presence in the room. And at first I kind of like fluff it off, but I really sense this presence. And these are not the right words, but kind of like I hear my father say to me, take care of your mother. And I flip it off, fluff it off. I'm making it up. And I keep hearing it, take care of your mother. So I turn around and I say, I always take care of my mother. And he says, no, take care of your mother. That afternoon, my mother had a stroke.
I'm laughing. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to laugh. Yeah.
No.
Okay. In the sensing world, I just want to I just want to not have people think they only get stuff from their father or their grandmother who's dead and stuff. I don't want to lock them into that. Okay. So what I say is based on that. In the sensing world, you can begin to sense the presence of beings who have passed on. Okay. They used to happen to me a lot, where even people that weren't necessarily friends, just people I happen to know, would pass by and say, hey, I'm doing great, da 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 da. I'd be, okay, great, thanks. But now in retrospect, I was a little more settled and to some degree in a sensing world. So it was easy to pick up on them. So that's why I'll put that. But let's not box the sensing world just into dead people talking to you. Okay? Yeah. All right. So you understand my thing there, Amy? Your picture's always smiling, so I guess it's okay. Amy, you okay with me here?
I'm not sure.
What? I said something nice. I said in the sensing world, it's easier to pick up beings who are in another dimension because in the sensing world, they're more available.
Yeah.
So yes, but let's not lock the sensing world into only dead people talk to me in the sensing world.
No.
Yeah, that's all I want to get across to people. I ain't necessarily even talking to you.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure nobody out there misunderstands.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So sometimes people, I make corrections or add-ons and you think I'm talking to you. I ain't talking to you. I'm talking to the other 30 people, whoever is on, hoping no one misunderstands what you said. I'm not saying you're screwing up. I didn't say that at all. And if I say that, you'll know it. It'll be a little different wording. Anyway, where the hell are we? Oh, now, one thing I don't know yet is this degree. Again, we get these maybe mental flash throughs, but then we start to get some that are more fully, like me with the Boken. That was more full bodied, I guess, because he couldn't come in. Okay. So there was something, a bigger field there, I would surmise. Okay. So again, what's the difference between a quickie where you can know something for a moment, or maybe Noah's, he just stepped over here, just a quickie, but that he moved and he didn't think about moving. It wasn't I think I'll move to protect this poor old man. He just moved. There's little quickies like that, but also there's these bigger ones. And I'll have to sort of diagram that out and maybe label those like, I don't know. In the sensing world, there was a level 1 and a level 2 and a level 3, or a 2-inch pipeline, a 3-inch pipeline, a 4-inch pipeline. I don't know if I want to get that tight with it, but because we hear other stories. A great one I heard talking on the phone to Oliver, who lives in Scotland now. He's a collegiate teacher. university, and he likes my work. He's visited out, and I was mentioning this is the area I was going to play in tonight, and he said, "Ooh, I got one." He's 21 years old. He's late for something, and he says he's running lickety split, whatever words he used in his English Scottish form. But he said it again and again later, how fast he was running, how into the run he was. He gets to the crest of this old hill he's running up, and apparently right there's a street and a curb. But he said right there, he ran into a wall, not a physical wall. What should we call it? An energy wall? Stopped him fully. He didn't say, "Oh, there's a car, I better slow down." He didn't say, "Holy shit, let me dig my feet in here because I'm racing this way." He didn't see the car. He just, bang, got stopped fully. He ran into a wall. At which time a car was coming by so close that the rear view mirror scraped his clothing as it drove by. So these flash throughs, flow throughs, bleed throughs, apparently can be fuller and fuller and fuller. Okay, so far? Wada had one. I have to talk to him tomorrow. We have coffee tomorrow to go over his car story. He's driving, and he's not a particularly fantastic driver. And anyway, he went over a cliff. And I forget, so I want to go over it with him tomorrow. But it was something like the car took itself over and steered into a tree there. He may have been impelled to steer it into the tree. So again, I'll go over the details, but it was something like that. And thank God the tree was there, because it stopped the car. If he hadn't, and it was not straight in front of him, there was an effort by something to hit the tree, which is over here. Thank God, because if he had continued, a big cliff, he's dead, man. Okay, so that's pretty big presence. So eventually, as we get better with this, sort of wondering how big can this be? If I look at OSensei as, say, operating from this level, not that he wasn't better than this. I have to fine tune that with him, but that he was in a sensing world, and for example, guys would stand behind him with Boken or Joe stick, and boom, and he wouldn't be there anymore. Okay, he'd be over here, but he'd do that one often. He's saying, what? Let me paraphrase him. In this world of sensing, if that moves, this moves. Because the harmony the harmony in a sensing world is different than how we talk about that in our first aware normal world. The normal world is a bit of, is it this or is it that? Okay? In this underlying world, it's its own world, has its own way of doing things, has its own flavor of itself. Okay. And the better harmony, the two things that were, is it that or is it this? It doesn't exist that way there, apparently. That's when they're beginning to show a real relationship. I call it they're dancing with each other. Okay. So if this moves, this moves. If this moves, that moves. You're starting to dance with each other. Actually, there's an actual energy presence that accounts for this. How are we doing it? Where are we? Okay, let's go back over that. Now we're going to try to figure it out and be aware of it from this first world. And I have to say again, you really can't do it that way. You really can't. Because this sensing world is its own world with its own vibrational rate. As you move into this world, and we'll talk about, I think, a better way of moving into it. It'll appear bigger at first. Okay. Now they're the same size, but we may have condensed ourselves in this normal world where we're still a bit boxed in a certain way, or boxed in through years of being boxed in. We sort of think that's it. Okay. So your first sense of moving into being, I hate to use the word aware, beginning to sense this other world, it might show bigger. Okay. It might show stronger, more powerful, because this world, in our normal world, I use the word energies. Okay. If Bobby wants to pick up the pace and be a Robert, he beats energies a little bit. Boom, there's a Robert. Robert wants to move on and be a Nadeau, uses the energy patterns, or up and down is how I first started, in and out, also another way. And boom, I'm Nadeau, kind of thing. Okay. But the second universe is a finer setup. So I call it alive. It's alive. And it has its own rules. Remember, the rules here was, is it this or is it that? It has to be one or the other. No way can it be both. Okay. But in this world, whoa, it's something different here. They're merging with each other. And as we move on, they'll even probably show more of that, even at a better level, could I say. Okay. Now, in case we run out of time here, we have time, but in case. We've asked you in this normal world, my past teachings have been how to get deeper. And I called it pools of energy, one form, or an underfloor, a deeper floor. And you settle and you open, kind of quiet or dark, and you have a feeling that, that feels like a floor. And standing from that floor has more to offer. It's a pool of energy. And with that extra pool of energy up and down, and easier for Bobby to become a Robert, or Robert to become a Nadeau, da-da-da-da-da-da. So we've used under in kind of an energy sense, okay? And we can all probably go a bit deeper with that, just that way of using it. Hope you're following me. But if we're going to move from this first world to the sensing world, a deeper sense of down, and we're shifting there into this world of sensing, come up into a different world. So do be clear. What is that? Do be clear that we're not using that style, which is very good in first universe for development, very important. Okay, the up and down and the depth height, the in and out, both of those are fantastically important to play with in the first normal world. Okay, some of you have been playing in there for years with me. Okay, now to shift into a sensing world, a good trick, settle even deeper to reach a point where you're maybe more open, and there's another world we're calling the sensing world. So be prepared for a sense of size. Don't be too quick to try to figure things out. You should have learned that in this first world. Okay. And I'll clue you into a couple of things, but you have to experience. Because your experience may be a hair different than mine. It follows the same pattern. I'm not saying you get to do a different pattern. I won't go there. But your experience, how you flavor it, is yours. So I can't tell you everything what you'll feel. You have to get in and have that experience. Okay? So from deeper, a world, sensing world. more alive. It may in some form show stronger. Watch out for that one. That could push you away if you're not sort of used to opening to more. It could push you away because it's a lot more than the extra energy from Bobby to Robert. There's a little more energy from Robert to Nadeau, a little more energy. And you're starting to be an earlier major. Okay. So as you settle deep enough, open more, and then play the game of a sensing world, and hang out there experientially. Let it lay itself out experientially. You can't just continue being aware and intelligent a certain way. That's the rules here on this half of the board. And there's more, but that's okay. But you're entering this world. It has its own rules, has its own flavor of itself. Okay. Did I say that okay? Best I can say it at the moment. Okay, more stories. Somebody, you tracking what I'm trying to do here?
Yeah, Bob, a couple things.
Steve?
Yeah, one thing we had talked about where people may remember stories that relate to their lineage, something that they normally would be attuned to. So I was thinking about another example and wondering if, as we get in, tap into that sensing world, how it affects others' sensing worlds. And the example, I was coming from a class at night.
I can
went
answer
to a
this
market.
immediately, but go ahead.
Excuse me?
If you're sensing and anyone is settled, kind of sensitive, they ought to pick up that, oh, he's sensing. They ought to have
Or
this.
may not even know that well, let me just give you the example.
Yes, please.
So I'm at the market and I've got some songs and I'm always looking at I'm from LA, so you run into people all the time. So who's in the market but Ricky Nelson, for those of you that remember. And I'm getting close to the checkout line. He's there with some woman and he's in another line. So we're side by side, one checkout line and another. And, I don't like to bother these people and all, but I've got this great song for him. And I said, well, I make a deal with myself. If I get out of the line first, I'll talk to him. If he gets out first, it's over. I'll let it go. Well, sure enough, he gets out of the line first. He's at the front. I'm just about ready to put my groceries down. And I don't know what impelled me, but I went like that. I didn't say a word. I just went like that. He turns around and he's with somebody else. He turns around, comes over, and we start having a conversation about this song, and he gave me a contact number and all. Nothing came of it, but it was like, here's this guy who somehow got a message from me because I was impelled to call him without saying a word.
Did you ever think that you have the magic snappers? Did you ever think maybe you're a magician and whatever you want, you can just summon?
Well,
see, that's where we have to be careful when we take these happenings into the normal world, the stories people can make up. And then for days after, they're trying to get people to turn around and look at them. I'm joking, but I'm serious. Don't go crazy with this shit in the heavier world.
Yeah.
I said it in Nadeau speak, but I think you heard me. Now, again, not talking to you. I'm talking to the troops. Okay. Cool.
Well, we're talking about two different people, right? The one who's connected to both realms and the one who's only in the one realm. And the one who's only in the normal realm, he goes crazy and makes crazy stories. The one who's in the whole realm, he's actually telling the truth or something.
Yeah. No, I'm saying what people will do when they know about this. Or if they get a flash through and they've had an experience, then the wild stories they come up with about why that happened or how that happened is all I'm trying to say. Are we sort of on the same wavelength? Did I miss something?
Very much, very
No.
much.
Yeah. I'm just cautioning people not to be too stupid, and that's an impossible thing, because the human condition, unfortunately, has a strong draw. Cartoon about lemmings in the paper lately, and it's like it's the lemmings. One goes over, now I'll get a whole crowd going over. Anyway, stop me before I go crazy here. Who do I want to talk to? TJ, you want to say anything about oh, wait a minute, I want to go back to Noah too. TJ, do you want to say something about the bird lady, the crow lady?
Oh yeah, this is a kind of a bleed through or a connection to this type of dimension. Years ago, and not that many years ago, I was teaching a retreat, and I met a woman who, when we were talking, she said, "You know, I can talk with crows. I have crows, and they just come up to me, and we
Hang out.
hang out." And I said, "Well, you know, that's very interesting." And she showed me pictures and so on.
Does she
But
have birds all over her, crapping
well,
up her
yeah,
blouse?
stuff like that, you know. So,
Oh
but
my, a minor Saint Francis. Is
yeah,
that
in a way.
yeah.
And
Okay,
so
sorry.
I ask her kind of from this level. I say, you know, how does this happen? Are you listening to the number of caws that they make? Are you listening to the rhythm of their caws? Caw, caw, caw. And she said, yes and no. So this was the interesting thing, that it wasn't just a mechanical referencing of listening to the number of times they make their sound or the rhythm of it. It was deeper than that, but it included that.
Yes, okay, let's say it this way. We talked
Yeah,
about this, but
yeah.
let's say it better.
Mhm.
Hopefully.
Please.
You're establishing lineage. When Susan does her work, she sits with the client, does the normal scan, and then continues into the finer of sensing, and boom, 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 really developing well. That we're establishing a lineage. So I think it's time for me to relate to the bird. So of course you'd see them first, listen to their chatter for a moment, but that's not where she's really, really making. She's just establishing lineage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She, whether she knew it at first, she was a crow whisperer, you
Yeah,
know.
apparently, yeah.
She and it just continued to develop, and she had all these stories about connection and how they perceive their
Yeah.
environment, their nature, and human beings.
And you mentioned to me that you could sense that she was sensing as she was
Yeah.
laying this out.
Well, it was like
Uh-huh.
that when I asked her about the mechanics, you know, asking about the mechanics of what was taking place. Are you listening to the
Yeah.
rhythm? Are you listening? Because that's my lineage, right?
Yes.
I'm kind of trying to relate to this from my lineage.
Yeah, from what he knows and is good at in this first world.
In the first world. And then
Yeah.
she said yes and no. And when she
No.
said yes and no, it's like, oh yeah, I understand that place. It's not exclusive of this other stuff, but it includes something else.
Yeah, it's not a yes and no here. It's
Yeah.
a yes, that's true,
Yes.
but no, I hear from another level also.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that filled it out. That actually for her was a full experience, and I felt her experience of that.
Yeah.
Not that I'm going to be a crow whisperer.
Yeah.
But I could kind of, there was a simpatico, an appreciation that was taking place there.
Yeah. You see, there's a lot we don't know about this world of sensing. Somebody is pretty cool. They have some degree of it, or they can hold a certain consistency and make money as a psychic in whatever form. Okay. Where am I going? Where am I going? But it doesn't mean that they, in the way they're a psychic, can pick horses to win or pick companies that are going to triple in the next 2 months or this year. That we can't expect them to have a full-blown thing out there. Okay.
Yeah, Susan's got her lineage, right?
Yes, Susan's got her
she's got her
lineage.
lineage, but you're not going to ask her, choose some good stocks for me, Susan.
I might try her out. I tried Noah.
her
You all
out.
right? This I tried Noah out once on it. We spent some time with it. He's a nice guy. He was trying to help me out here with this, but didn't quite go anywhere really. And now we say, oh shit, it wasn't his lineage. Yeah, but I used to practice a lot with my groups. Of trying out different things that probably weren't their lineage, but for fun practice. I used to take a group of 4, I don't know, 4 or 5, I don't remember. Maybe Diana remembers if she was there at the track time. And we go to the track and I'd say, which horse is going to win? Kind of thing. I was just experimenting because I didn't know all the rules at that time. We're going back now, 50 years or something or more. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say the Elaine Yoder story too,
Oh,
about
yeah.
her dropping into the space to understand what happened to that bridge. And here you're having or they're having millions of dollars and all the structural engineers from
all those
everywhere.
guys.
Yeah, and Elaine gets it like in
Yeah. So let me tell the story again in case
Go ahead, please.
or just to say it again.
Yeah, say it again.
I'm doing what I normally do and fun around. So I hear about this overpass they were building that collapsed. 6 guys are working on it and they got killed. 6 guys got killed, collapsed. And we heard about this from some company that sends engineers and all the different types to go study what happened. So for practice, I say, Elaine, let's check this overpass thing that fell over. We're into it. I swear to God, may have been over 5 minutes, but it was before 10. Okay. Bang. She picks up the first pier support. She moves into the second pier support. Boom. The ground is soft. The ground's bad. They shouldn't have put a support pier on that ground. You know what they found out after they sent all the engineers? That ground there had been used as a dump. So of course it wasn't stable. They didn't check the ground apparently properly. She picked that up in less than 10 minutes. After they sent all these engineers for how much that must have cost them. Yeah. I love the story. That's sensing. When you know something that it's impossible for you to know. She never saw the bridge. Nobody sent us pictures of an overpass. Just in the dojo. We're in the dojo. Just settling and walking and sensing. Boom. I screwed that one up. I saw the first pier, but I, for some reason, went up into the cement and was tracking the cement. Did they dry it long enough? Did they cheat on the whatever of cement? I don't know anything about cement, but did they cheat on the product and use cheaper cement or something? I was out there tracking. Stupid me. I didn't notice it started with that, and I should have followed with that. She did. I didn't. So catch some, miss some. Anyway, it was funny. The story I love, the veterinarian. Okay, we're on Esalen property, walking along. I'm very interested in her because she's a sensitive. I can feel it. And we're just dialoguing, fairly new meet her. And she happens to glance over, there's a dog in the yard. She said he's got a bad back. Again, I have a pretty good eye for dogs. I worked in kennels. I was a dog trainer. I made money training dogs. Went to dog shows over and over again. And, so I got not a bad eye for dogs, but let's give her the benefit. She's a vet. She sees more dogs than I do at that stage of the game, which is okay. Oh, he's got a bad back. Okay. But when she added, because the kids are riding on his back. Oh, wait a minute now. I knew there were kids living there. You could see a couple of toys in the yard, but there are no kids near the dog or no kids in the yard at the time. I want to check her out. Okay. Again, I have a good feeling for this lady. We became friends for a bit. It's nice lady. Very sensitive. I knocked on the door. Lady come to the door. I said, "Did you know your dog has a bad back?" Bang! She comes right back at me. "Yes, the kids have been riding on the back. We asked them not to, but kids." How did she know this? There was nothing viable. There's a good clue. They know things. How did you know that? Okay. Susan has a bunch of stories of people saying when she does something or says something, "Why did you do that? Why did you say that?" Okay. From the sensing world, it's not as a parent. Okay. So that's a clue. The sensing world.
Sensei, to quote you, you used to say, "Fields relate with fields." When you're in one field, if you're in a field of intelligence, it relates with other fields of intelligence, and it shares them intimately.
Yeah, that's why they have, what's that, Smart People's Club? Yeah.
Mensa.
Thank you.
Mensa.
That's why they have such things. The smart, brainy people want to hang out with smart, brainy people and compare their mentas.
No, but it's more than that. It's like when you're sensing something, when you're scanning the field of another person's field, I as Uke sense that field intelligence scanning me, my field of intelligence, and that helps me to relate to the field of awareness.
Yeah. That's why, okay, I can tell a few stories there, but yes, when somebody is in a particular level or field of, anyone who has any interest in that can start to absorb or be affected by that. Okay. So I tried to say that earlier. I forgot what the conversation was. When OSensei was at the dojo, it was easy to know because the place would hum. When he'd leave town for the weekend or whatever, the hum would quiet down. When he came back, the hum would increase. I knew to the moment, well, not to the moment, but I knew when he was out of town. I knew when he was back in town because his presence was humming the place. Okay. And they were affected by that in some ways to some degrees. Okay. So there's a couple others like that. I'm blanking at the moment.
Well, there was a time when I hadn't uked for you in, I don't know, quite a while for whatever reason. We were in New Zealand and I just could see you needed my help, as it were. I went up to grab you and it was like, what did the guy say after he hit OSensei on the head? Is that a normal head, Ueshiba? That's how I felt. I said, "Is that a normal arm, Nadeau?" Yeah. It was just, there was just a kind of energy. Yeah. And in that dimension, of course, we're trying to feel it, but it was like, it was different. I don't know what else to say.
And that, I doubt, was this world aliveness. That was a dimensional level in this first world. It wasn't Bobby, because you grab Bobby and he's like, shit, man, back off. It was another level of whatever level of Robert with his energy body. So you grab that and you're grabbing an energy body, but we're still in the domain here of that first thing. Yeah. I don't want, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd go back with Amy's kind of whatever it was. There's a part of me that's going like, God, am I whatever it was. So, but at the time it was so visceral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think here's a great example of harmony. When two things coalesce into a state of harmony, much greater things are available. And it seems, I mean, I remember being thrown by you early on and thinking, I want to get a pressure treated floor to figure out what's going on because he didn't throw me and I can't leap that far. And I end up being farther away from him than seems possible. Um, and now I just accept it as, yeah, that's harmony. That's what happens when something happens harmonically.
Yeah. And again, not to screw up a simple map. We're going to throw in a new word here, which may be all right and whatever, but I'm trying to keep this kind of simple and acceptable and reachable experientially.
Yeah.
All right. So we've changed too many words here. And that's why I jumped on, careful of thinking, oh, only dead people come to me when I'm in this place. Yeah, because it's a finer sensing, you'll sense them better. But let's not lock it in on that. So I'm just sort of saying around the same thing. Yeah, harmony. I already said that the harmony factor in the sensing world is different than in our first world. Yeah. So I'll go there with you. Yeah. My first one that I remember, who knows what the first one was? It might have been when I was 8 years old and whatever. I'm in the dojo, fairly new, definitely my first year, home with dojo. And I got two ukes and one, I'm dealing with one. And another uke came in and I just put my arm out with no intent to do anything. I was busy with this guy. I'm sort of like a white belt or something. And this guy grabs my arm and he flies back. Now, I didn't go, yeah, I didn't do anything. He just flew back. Of course, what the hell was that? Of course, I can't practice it. I don't know what happened. I can't believe the guy tanked for me, not the way he flew. Yeah. So I think you all remember that first clear one. It's almost like you can't forget it because it was so, whoa. But watch out for those words of, I don't know what happened. Or somebody else says to you, where'd you come? That was fantastic. Why'd you say that? Yeah. Sometimes at Esalen, I could tell when something was coming through in giving a lecture at Esalen, happened more than once, where I'd start to speak about a subject that I hadn't intended to speak about, or even there was one I really knew anything about. And sort of the tone of my voice would change. It's almost like I didn't recognize my own voice, nor did I recognize what I was saying. But that would catch me because it was like Steve's, the singing voice, not your normal cracky voice. Yeah. So is there something about that? Yeah. Well, I had that same thing there. It wasn't my normal voice. And I wasn't putting on to do anything. I was just talking about the subject, whatever it was. Invariably, somebody would come up to me after class and say, you were talking to me. Well, I kind of knew I was talking to somebody just because I never talked this way. I never talk about that particular subject that way. So, of course, did I say that right? Somebody needed the message. And for some reason, it worked through me to them. Talk about being a channel from what to what. Yeah. Don't know if I said that story well, but anyway, dear God. Anyway, what I'm trying to do here is, best as I can, keep it simple in a certain way that it's not that far away. You don't have to, go crazy with whatever. Easy, settle, do your basics. We're settling deeper. And we're doing our basics, settle deeper, open. Okay? Kind of having a sense of the depths. Hopefully you should have. Knowing you're not working when something starts to happen there. You're not working a bigger pool of oil for energy for Nadeau to become sensei or something. That starting to get into a different zone here. Okay, so we need that sense of it to get into the different zone of the world there. That is, I call the sensing world. I like the coming up because hopefully, and Sensei pushes this, that in coming up, there's a more sense of experiential. Okay. That apparently you can, in your smartness, awareness, shift into these different worlds. But you're always missing something. You're missing the experience. So I was surprised to hear from OSensei that one could shift into finer and finer with just being smart or whatever, being aware or whatever. Because I was thought you needed a fuller package to shift in. But the problem is still there. You shift into a finer, and a finer, okay? But you're missing half of the story there. That stuff that mixes up what we call a body, the stuff of creation is not being experienced. Could be knowing, oh, there's stuff there, but it's not being experienced. So coming up from under helps, facilitates, more experiential. Okay, more experiential. Word of warning to you, or a helpful trick for you. Again, don't know if I said that right. We're beginning to run out of time. Anybody with some exciting flow through, bleed through, whatever, come on. There must be somebody who's not a normal.
I got one for you, Sensei.
Who's that?
This is Roy.
Roy.
I had shared this with you before and with some people before. I was leaving work one day on the way to the dojo. So I had all my gear and I was waiting for the streetcar to come. And so the streetcar comes and, I climb up the stairs to get into the streetcar. I wand myself in with my fast pass and then just take a seat. And, then the streetcar starts to move and, I'm looking around because I took a seat next to this woman that was sitting there and kind of boxed her in with all of my gear and myself, kind of squashed her in. And I was looking around the streetcar and I realized that there's nobody else in the entire car. And I sit next to this woman, right? And so I'm sitting
You're
there.
lucky she didn't call the police, man.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's
These days, that's a dangerous thing to do.
Exactly. And, as I'm looking around, I'm thinking to myself, what am I doing here? I mean, I should be sitting over there and I was thinking I should move and blah, 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 blah. My mind is going nuts with, and I just settled. I just said, I'm just going to sit here. Right. And I just sat there, I settled. And then at the very next stop, this old lady is getting on and she's climbing up the stairs. She's got this, cane. She can hardly make her way up these, 4 stairs to get into the streetcar. She wands herself in, with the machine. And then the streetcar takes off. And she comes barreling down the aisle, and I was sitting right at the aisle, and I just reached my hand out like this quickly and just stopped her dead in her tracks, right? Just immediately stopped her dead. And then I just motioned for her to sit, just have a seat, take a seat in the seat across from me. And she says, oh, thank you. She's very, thankful about the whole thing. And I said, no, it's okay. No problem. She goes, no, you don't know how important this was. And she said, so later she tells me the story that she had just come from the doctor and the doctor had told her that she had a fracture in her hip. So if she would have pitched her way, this woman was going down, right? I mean, I stopped this woman from going down. And so I realized later
the break, huh?
I realized later that, it was one thing. I've trained for so many years, right? I mean, I stopped her. That wasn't that big a deal. But the fact that I stayed in that seat, right? I had no business being in that seat, right? The whole streetcar was empty. And that was where I stayed. And I allowed this, whatever was there, to just be there. Yeah.
That's a cute story. Yeah. You see, again, he could have owned it by saying, well, I train, I'm an Aikidoist. Of course, I'm fast. But to include all the other stuff, why he sat there, because really it was not a good place to sit. You and the one lady on the damn bus. Hey, man, dangerous. Dangerous.
Right. They could have hung me for less than
that. But But yeah, nice story. Thank you, Ray. People, I think we ran out of time here. So mull on your experiences. We've got more to hear from Susan about the why this is great. This sensing is, say, using Susan, for example, as she continues working in the sensing realm, I don't know what it's called. Susan, can you still hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. So we first start, let me fill in anything I missed. The physical body, of course. Okay. Some
Yep.
degree of energy movement through the body. Of course. Say yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Unless you want to slip something else in here, maybe a finer level of their energy system in relation to their body. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. But then it began to open up more, and the family's relationship, let's say it's a child here, the family's relationship with the child starts to show if they're screwing the kid up or something. Okay. She continues doing great work here. And if it's a past life carryover, that begins to show about there. Okay.
Right.
Self, the magnificent self of that character begins to show there, to the point where you can sort of dialogue and help it guide you in about its character. That's a pretty good move. And there is more. Don't know what it is yet. We need time in here. But you see that progression? Yeah. I mean, do you see the progression from the vet? Okay, she's got a good eye, he's got a bad back. Okay. But to know why, holy shit. Or to Susan, the bridge falling, Elaine's thing. That's cool to have these abilities. I mean, what if we sense better? Okay, we just created a new drug. Is there a level in sensing that says, okay, what's the benefit? And it lays that out. And you say, what's the potential bad stuff? Some drugs have killed people, right? Where you got to pull it off the market real fast. That all that should be available and more. Dear God, people, this is I want to say FU, fantastic world. Okay. And so much more we can talk about here. But anyway, just wanted to get some of the stories of the flow through, give you a quick hint at the approach and the entry into it. And you go and play a while. I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thanks, Sensei. Everyone
Thank you, Sensei. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Bob.
can unmute and say goodbye if you'd like. Please do.
Thank you, Sensei. Thank you, Tija.
Pleasure.
Everybody.